actually get to all the different 5 streaming platforms. And then once we get to that point, then we'll then get started. Hope everyone's doing okay. Whether you're catching this live or a recording afterwards. Cool. Let's get started. So yeah, so this is the follow-up video that is going to be talking about the specific community challenge in this particular case. So Catalyst, to give broader context, right? So Catalyst is a decentralized fund funded by the Cardano community, and it's open to anyone who actually wants to participate. You can go to cardano.ideascale.com. There you'll be able to basically log in, create an account, and just, get straight into it in terms of actually interacting with the community and proposing ideas and so on. So this time around, this is FUND3, right? There's up to $1 million equivalent of ADA available. ADA is the currency that's native to Cardano, the cryptocurrency native to Cardano. So in the fund, there's basically, this time around, they've selected 3 different categories that people can basically propose ideas, right, to give people context. One of them is community challenge, and then there are other 2 which we shall get into on later videos. So what's a community challenge? The community challenge is basically the idea that wrong button. The idea that it's open to the community to actually propose ideas regarding what sort of ideas would make sense to encourage folks to actually build within the community or the ecosystem at this point in time. So we're just going to get into the broad strokes of things. And I think a key part to actually sort of address first and foremost is just timing, right? So have a look at the breakdown. And given that, it's still early days, it's still experimental, and some things are even not entirely clear regarding the breakdown of information kind of thing. One of them is actually what stage we're at in terms of the actual challenge itself in regards to, so it's broken down into 6 weeks. Let's actually just jump into that right now. Damn it, the scroll thing is quite inconveniencing. So here we go. So the challenge is the community challenge. It's basically opening up to the community to propose ideas, around, it's pretty open, right? Like what kind of verticals, etc. Would it make sense to sort of build foundational stuff so that the ecosystem can grow and blossom in terms of decentralized applications. So it's over 6 weeks, and it breaks down, there's sort of like a particular idea per week. So the first week is insight sharing, which apparently ended on the 6th of January. It is still not clear whether it's ended on the 13th or... Anyway, so I'm just going to go with what's on the website, right? You'll see later on that stuff conflicts, but for the moment, it's better to sort of assume, I suppose, the worst, right? To assume that we are ahead of time as opposed to behind time. So insight sharing expired on the 6th of January. The idea there is to basically just, again, like broadly kind of communicate, okay, what kind of things like metrics, what kind of industry sectors, what should our sort of ideology be or methodology be, broadly speaking. And then week 2 would be submit proposals, which at the time of recording this is set to expire on Wednesday, right? So I'm recording this on Saturday, so we've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, the 13th of January. And then after that, basically, yeah, we'll move on to week 3, which is refine. And then week 4, finalize. Week 5, assess. And then week 6, we actually have the voter discussion. And the dates are sort of correlated there. The only difference here is obviously there's basically a week for each. But then if you notice, between week 5 and week 6, there's basically 2 weeks. So the voter discussion and voting takes place, I believe, over 6 weeks. Right, so there's that. So if you can actually move back up here, you'll notice that there is just like a sort of a visualization which I've put together in hopes. I was gonna use this fat finger to sort of point at stuff because you can actually see the cursor itself. So I think I'll stick with it. I like the idea of the fat finger. So okay, so here we are, week 1, so that's around here, and obviously insight sharing, we're already past that, right? So this is the day today, the 9th, Saturday, January. We're in week 2, submit proposals, right? So the idea here is people actually, submit proposals at this point, and then in the later week, it would be about refining, and then let's have a look here, and then week 4, again, as I said before, finalize, and then week 5, assess. I believe during the assess period, the proposers are not going to be able to basically edit anything. Like the finalized stage is going to be the last stage where they'll actually be able to sort of edit their proposals, kind of thing. And then in the assess, basically people put themselves forward to be community advisors who provide reviews, and there'll be a provided sort of structure to how that happens. So that carries on, spills into the beginning of February, and then as you can see here, from basically the 4th of February, Thursday the 4th, all the way through to Thursday the 16th, right? So give or take, like, it spans over 2 weeks. The voter discussion happens / actual voting. So yeah, so that's the general kind of time gist. If I could, I'll move over to this bit here. I should use my trackpad for this. Trying to navigate this thing with a mouse is just a pain. And I did consider it, but I was like, nah, it'll take too long to plug in the trackpad. Okay, so it makes sense to kind of just talk about, to give like a broad idea in terms of, okay, what's a good way to sort of think about whether it's insight sharing or proposing ideas or proposing proposals. In the videos that another community member and I did reviewing, sort of analyzing FUND3 proposals, one of the things, by the way, like, if you've not watched those videos, have a look at them. They're quite insightful. One of the things that became quite evident is if you're looking to put forward a proposal, really consider the sort of the later hierarchy of information, right? Because you've got your title, problem, solution. Like, title is like most important in terms of communicating the essence of your idea, because for the stages, that's going to be the key thing, which people are going to be scrolling through a sea of titles to pick from, people with limited time. So what you want to do is really get that right, have in a way everything, the core of the problem, and in a way part of the solution, if you can, within that. Yeah, so if you can think of it this way, so trunk, branches, leaves, like a tree, to use this analogy. The trunk is the consensus and the chain, so the consensus algorithm as well as the blockchain itself, so the ledger. And then you've got the branches, which then connect to the leaves, right? There's this sort of this hierarchy in this sort of relationship. So you've got people say, for example, come along and say, oh yeah, I've got this idea for I want to sort of create content, right? In this structure, that would just be a leaf, right? I would advise folks to think of the bigger picture and think, okay, content, what you're trying to get at is content is important. So create the branch, right? Which enables not only you to create content, but even more content and richer, trusted content, etc., to be created. Again, here, this is just one example. So two other bits that I think make sense to sort of speak about here is interoperability and advantages, right? So I think on this higher level, as opposed to trying to solve problems which have already in a way been tackled by other communities within crypto, I would suggest or urge folks to actually look out to other communities who've had a head start in terms of looking into some key things which would make for a great sort of functionality, if they're sort of to be plugged in to Cardano from an interoperability standpoint. So a few that I would like to sort of suggest is considering privacy, right? Having and so Secret is another blockchain which used to be Enigma. Now the sort of whole thing is now Secret, called Secret. So privacy, right? Privacy is super important in terms of financial transactions and just everything else, but particularly financial transactions. And so what's really cool about Secret is they're not doing it sort of on the shallow level. They're actually doing it on the computation level, right? And this is really quite interesting. So this means that the state of the transactions and stuff, as well as the different wallets, etc. Privacy is preserved. So that's like an interesting thing to possibly consider. Looking into the privacy vertical, and Secret is a really good example there. Or looking to law, right, with Kleros. Whilst Kleros is not a blockchain separately, it's built on top of Ethereum. I think that's even more reason to actually have this conversation, right? Given that Ethereum contracts are going to be able to run better, faster, and cheaper on Cardano. Kleros basically looks into sort of law or legality of things. And what's really neat here is that you've got fundamentally this idea of conflict resolution, right? Which is really great because if you think of a smart contract where, say, you've got person A agrees to do something for person B, person A does it, but then person B says, oh, this is not what we agreed on. You need some way to actually to resolve that issue. And so that's where Kleros comes in. You've got different experts basically who get compensated to come in and deliberate and sort of resolve such conflicts. So that's really important, right? And what's rich about this idea as well is it creates a whole bunch of other jobs, so to speak, for folks within crypto, people who have expertise. And like there's some things which we cannot be able to code our way out of. Resolving such things, human to human conflicts is one of them. And then the last one here is automation, right? So Singularity.net, that conversation about them shifting over into Cardano is already happening. But I think actually additionally, having a broader community conversation about the nature of automation or AI, just fundamentally pattern recognition. And with pattern recognition, what's really rich here is the opportunity to really take the load off laborious things that humans would naturally do, right? Computer would be able to do them, much better, which frees humans to actually do richer, more fulfilling human specific things, and not only just human specific things because a computer cannot be able to do them, and in the future a computer might be able to do them, but the fact that another human might prefer another human to do them as opposed to a computer, like for example with the law thing, right? Someone might prefer as opposed to an AI in a very clean and clinical way coming to a decision, they might prefer actually other fellow humans to actually deliberate and give a verdict in terms of the case, so to speak. So that's an interesting sort of quick point, and that kind of brings the end to the sort of interoperability. Quite a tricky word to say quickly. And then quickly to address advantages, one of the reasons why it makes sense to have this conversation about interoperability from either other blockchains or projects on Ethereum to come over, or to have conversations about what the potentials are, is things like fees, right? Especially in the context of Ethereum, and the native assets, right? The fact that projects will be able to actually have all the wonderful awesome stuff that ADA has, and then decentralization, right? At the moment I believe we're at 1,400 pools plus, and we're only just getting started, so it's really quite decentralized, and the richer the broader ecosystem gets, I believe we're going to arrive at an even healthier place or point where we will be able to have more pools and be really fundamentally decentralizing it in a much richer way, besides just pools, or the functions and the rewards that pools have. So moving on, I'll just quickly touch on this, if I can find the damn, oh come on, okay, give me a moment. There you are. Too many tabs open, or too many windows. Okay, so yeah, this is Project Catalyst, right? So if you go to cardano.ideaskill.com, as pointed out earlier, you can create an account and actually basically just jump right in. So here what we're looking at is the about section about this specific community choice or community challenge, and you can have a read of it. I won't go into details because I've basically sort of highlighted the key things. I'll just quickly point out what I said earlier. So inside sharing, as you can see here, says expired on the 06, right, the 6th of January 21. Okay, yeah, so you'll notice there's a conflict of that later on. So, and then it just breaks down the sort of the overview of everything that I've already covered, and then you've got the team down here. Then you can once you're ready, you can click on here, got it, let's get started, which will lead you to here, which is basically just a list of stuff. Right, at the moment you would assume that these are proposals. Spoiler alert, they're not proposals, these are basically insights. You can have a look at them, you can sort of scroll through and have a read. They're actually quite interesting. I've kind of had some time to skim through them, quite interesting. Once you're ready, I feel like that the call to action in the previous page really, as opposed to landing you here, I suppose, okay, it makes sense to give you like ideas. Once you're ready, you can then come up here, the top left where it says submit insight. Select that, and then it brings you into this bit here. A quick aside, or two things. This is idea scale, right? It's a framework that Cardano or IHK is using to facilitate this catalyst process. The interface is default light. They do not have a dark mode, so what I'm actually using here is a browser plugin called Dark Reader. I get no compensation for shouting them out. I just think they're awesome, and they really make my life a lot better. They make a whole bunch of light, bright websites nice and sort of awesome dark mode. The second point, actually, more important that I want to highlight here is once you come to this point, Cardano idea scale, you can't be able to see it on here because it's a pop-up, but it requests your location without any context, right? This is bad form. Guys, design this better. I'm assuming this has to do with analytics, right? You want to know, oh, where different people submitting ideas coming from, but communicate this. So I'm just actually going to cancel that. Do better. Okay, yeah, so submit your perspective. Don't post a proposal yet. Yeah, so fill in ideas. You can answer some of the following. How does success look like? What project would you like to see proposed? What would you like to offer? Your help. Would you like to offer your help with anything? Resources or existing projects that would inspire proposers. Any wild thoughts or opinions about how to address this challenge in the most effective way. Basically, it gives you context, right? And again, please do not post proposals yet. Exactly. So proposal submission only starts on January 13th, right? And again, like, I'm not just complaining here. I have actually reached out to the team to get clarification on this, and I'm yet to actually hear anything back. So anyway, required fields, it's pretty straightforward. So please confirm the language, right? It makes sense. Or you can just, I suppose, have it detect it automatically. Interesting. Utah in the past, in FUND3, I think, did it in Japanese, and the translation was suboptimal. So I'm not really sure how well this works. I think this is something that could definitely use some work, and I've got some ideas, you know, in the context of Catalyst, about how to solve this localization issue. And then here you've got campaign, right? So you choose whichever campaign you want to actually submit inside at this stage, and then later on it will be submit a proposal. The interfaces are actually quite similar, I think, if I'm just going by FUND3, and then you add your perspective title and perspective description in there, and then when you're ready, boom, hit submit. So that's pretty much it for that. If you liked this, if you thought this was interesting or valuable, head on over to cast.live, add the calendar to yours so that you can prioritize you know, the different programs that are going to be coming on, and from a communication standpoint, you know, I think that's a lot better from a notification standpoint, because we can't really rely on these centralized services. I mean, yeah, you can join YouTube or like the Facebook page or group or whatever it is, follow the Twitter account, or on Twitch, or on DLive, or join us actually on Discord, preferably, right? So there's a particular hierarchy. Actually, maybe I should optimize that for that particular hierarchy of what I advise people to actually engage in. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Hope this was helpful, and yeah, so I'll see you guys on the next program, or in the context of Catalyst, I'll see you on the next, basically, sort of dive into the which one's going to be next. Is it ecosystem? Yes, it is ecosystem, and then dApps, or decentralized applications, after that. Cool. Thank you for your time. Hope you're having a good day.